If you feel that your discipline is getting worse and worse every year, first of all, you're not alone. Second, you are not the problem. We are trying to stay focused in a world that profits from our distraction. If we pay close attention to what neuroscience and psychology is telling us, we are more likely to understand what the hell is happening in our brain and then apply the right steps in order to change. Psychologists show that discipline isn't just about willpower. It lives in the... Hi, my name is Anna. Thanks for tuning in. There is a concept in behavioral psychology called the variable reward schedule, which explains why unpredictable rewards are so addicting. Back in 1930s, psychologist Bruce Frederick Skinner carried out 2 experiments using rats and a simple lever. In the first experiment, the rat would get food every time it pressed on the lever. But when the reward stopped, meaning the food, the rat would quickly give up on pressing the lever. Then in the second experiment, the rat would get food only sometimes, completely unpredictable. And what happened that time? Well, the rat pressed the lever over and over again, even when no food was coming out, because its brain had learned that maybe the next one would be the one. And that's the same system that is being used in the slots machines in Las Vegas Strip. Think about it. You don't win every time, you just win enough to keep playing. And the same happens when you scroll. Sometimes the next video is amazing. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's everything you wanted to see. And so your brain gets stuck in a loop, thinking that maybe the next video would be the one. And that's why it becomes very hard to stop, even when you want to. And when you scroll, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical linked to motivation and reward. But here's what most people don't know. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about anticipation. It spikes right before the reward, not after. Let me make it more relatable. How many times you reach for your phone knowing that you're about to scroll and you get a dopamine hit even before you have unlocked your iPhone? So by the time you sit down to do something hard, like study or work, it feels flat and your brain resists, not because you're lazy, but because your brain has been conditioned to expect high instant variable rewards over delayed ones. There is a part in your brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for your focus, planning, decision-making, and self-control. Think of it like the CEO of your brain. It decides what matters, what gets attention, and what gets ignored. It uses energy every time you make a decision or you resist a temptation. Psychologists call this ego depletion, when repeated decisions, distractions, or urges drain our mental resources. Every notification, pop-up, email, message, scroll drain a little bit more. Even small decisions, like whether to take your phone, take a toll. And here's why it's important. Your prefrontal cortex also regulates your impulses. So if it's fatigued, you're more likely to procrastinate, get distracted, and fall into bad habits. By the time you sit down to do something hard, your CEO is exhausted and you're left with your impulses in charge. Psychologists show that discipline isn't just about willpower. It lives in the space between impulse and action. And this space allows for the prefrontal cortex to engage and regulate our impulses. So if there is no space, there is no pause, there is no opportunity for the self-control system to engage and no chance to build self-control. And without self-control, there is no discipline. We have to remember that we are trying to stay focused in a world that profits from our distraction. Of course, it feels harder. It is harder. But maybe the solution isn't to try harder, but rather try smarter. So tip number 1, control your environment. It's about designing your environment in a way that you don't have to rely on willpower every single time. So instead of fighting your distractions, try to reduce their power. Log out of apps, try quitting social media for a while, move apps away from home screen, turn off notifications, use website blockers. The goal here isn't to eliminate temptation completely, it's to make the right choice the easy one, because your brain always chooses the path of least resistance. For example, If you want to start eating healthy, the first advice someone will give you is to meal prep and have healthy, available cooked options at all times. Because you and I know that the moment you get hungry, if there is no cooked, healthy, available option, we are most likely going to open the cabinet and get the cookies and the chips out. Tip number 2, train boredom again. We have lost our ability to get bored, and that's a problem. Our brain needs boredom in order to calibrate to a much healthier dopamine baseline. So maybe go for a walk without your phone. Try sitting without stimulation for a while. Go to the bathroom without your phone. Take a shower without listening to music or podcasts. I believe you're going to realize that you're much more creative than you think. Because when you feed your brain with information, even if it's not trust information, all the time apart from when you sleep, then your brain is too busy to receive information, understand information, and then respond to information. Tip number 3, start smaller than you think. Most people fail, and I have failed in the past way too many times, and I still do, because we are trying to go too big. We don't really need 1 hour no stimulation session. We can start with 5 minutes. I believe it's much easier to find 5 minutes in the day and really stick to that rather than 1 hour. And we are going to see results because of something called the habit loop. Repeated actions that rewire our brain over time. Because discipline isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. And if you can stay focused even for a little bit, your future self is thanking you. Thanks for tuning in until the end. As always, see you next time. Good luck. Bye-bye.